Hello, Canada. Welcome to the first in a series of videos aimed at giving you data-based information so you can sort fact from fiction in an age of disinformation. This first video is called Old Canada. We hear a lot about the aging Canadian population, but what does that really mean, and how does it affect what happens in Canada for the younger population? How does it tie into other policies like immigration and taxes? To get us started, let's talk about the baby boom. This is a generation of Canadians born between 1946 and 1965. This was a post-war period, preceding the birth control pill, when family sizes were large. The birth rate peaked in 1958, which coincidentally makes this most populous birth year 66 years old at the time of the recording of this video. Let's have a look at our first graph. This is taken from Government of Canada Census data, and it breaks the population up into 5-year age brackets. To see what's changed over time, we looked at this data in 1983, 1993, 2003, 2013, and 2023. It's pretty easy to see the sharp peak of the baby boomers moving from the left to the right 10 years at a time on this graph. You can also see that the peak increases from about 2.5 million people to about 2.75 million as time goes on. Since nobody's born at 20 or 25 years old, this increase is due to the immigration of people that were born during the baby boom years. When we highlight the graph for the year 1983, we can see that the baby boomers are 20 to 24 years old at that time. Other than slightly more 0 to 4-year-olds than 5 to 9-year-olds, the graph declines steadily on either side of the peak. That indicates that prior to 1958, there were more and more babies born each year, and after 1958, there were fewer and fewer, with a slight rise between 1979 and 1983. The drop-off after the baby boom could only be due to less babies per family, as there was not a significant drop in the population or the number of families in Canada. If anything, the population continued to grow. When we move forward to 1993, the graph still reflects pretty much the same shape and trends, but with the baby boom peak now being 10 years older. We do see slightly more people at all ages, and that's due to immigration. In 2003, the baby boom peak moves another 10 years older and rises a bit once more, but in the 10 to 24 age group, we start to see a raised plateau emerge that we didn't see before. Since this plateau has about 150,000 more people per age group than it did 10 years earlier, this would have to be either very young adult immigrants or the children of the baby boom age immigrants that had come to Canada between 1993 and 2003. Between 2003 and 2013, we can see the baby boom peak shows only a tiny bit of growth, but the plateau that we'd first seen in 2003 has now spread to encompass 20 to 40 years and has increased by about 250,000 people per age group over the previous 10-year period. This is an indication that there had been a shift towards younger immigrants and an incremental increase in the number of immigrants. Between 2013 and 2023, we see the most drastic change in any of the time frames that we looked at. Baby boom peak is still there, right where expected to be, and slightly smaller than it had been 10 years earlier, probably due to people dying before retirement age, but it's now peaked at the retirement age, right around 65 years old. The plateau that we'd first seen in 2003 has now grown into its own rounded peak, and the Millennials, born 1981 to 1986, are now actually the most populous age group in Canada. Clearly, Canada has shifted from attracting complete families to recruiting people in their early stages of their career who are coming here on their own. We've imported a lot of millennials. That covers what we can learn by looking at how many people we have at each 5-year age bracket in Canada, and begins to show us why we consider ourselves an aging population. In our next video, we'll sort the population into age groups of 0 to 19, 20 to 64, and 65 and older to see what the economic impact of this age distribution is. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and check in regularly for new content.